Yo, what's up, y'all? It's MMA Analyst here to do my preview for UFC 108. But first, just move, things are going well. Got everything almost handled. Not going to show you everything, but I'm going to show you, what I like the most. Bought my new place, and that's the basement. Come check this out. First things first, we got some posters on the wall. Only good movies, only good ones. Now I got some cheesy stuff up here that I like. I got my spotlight on my UFC cage. We got Shogun inside. I don't know if y'all know about me, but oh damn, look at this bad camera work. Good lord. Alright, I got my comic books. I got my Ali in front of my Rocky. I got my little mini guitars. That's actually Geddy Lee from Rush and Primus bass. Some more comic books. Let's go down. More comic books. I got my Uncle Abdullah the Butcher. That's his thing right there. His little action figurine or whatever you want to call it. Action figure. Dan Henderson. Some more guitars. This isn't bad camera work. What you want me to do? I don't have my actual camera set up. More comic books. I got my Pride belt. And then some more MMA round 5 figurines, more comic books. There's going to be some posters here, But I got to get it in. I think that's where I'm going to put my... Oh, snap. You ain't supposed to see that yet. That's where I'm supposed to put my... I think it's going to be Kung Fu Hustle. Or maybe City of God. Then we got here my Death Proof. Like I said, it could be City of God or whatever. We got my Good, the Bad, the Ugly. We're going to flip this around. Check this out here. My Kill Bill with my Kill Bill replica swords. Oh, snap. Yo, I'm holding the thing here. I got some more Kill Bill swords. I got Shawshank Redemption. But the big deal, y'all, the big deal. The big deal. I'm going to turn off the lights for this. Is the system. Yeah. Projection high definition. Got my HD net on there. They're playing some foolishness right now. Surround sound. Bose, whatever. But look. Y'all. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. But y'all, enough of that, y'all. I'm back. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with me through another year of foolishness, upsets, and good stuff, and MMA, and y'all know what it is. Oh, here's the couch. There's a Snuggie around here somewhere. Thank you, y'all. You know what it is. It's going to be another year of MMA being important. Another year of some solid Zuffa material, some solid... Dream, some Dynamite stuff, some Sengoku. For anybody who didn't see the Sengoku Dynamite Dream situation, I will do a review on that. Aoki tried to do submission of the year right at the last minute. Crazy. But let's get right down to it. Alright, y'all, so I switched it around. There was a light in the background. I know y'all must have saw it. I'm going to get this figured out. I'm going to try and figure out how to put something real nice in the background. Right now I got some Pride stuff playing back there. But, alright. Here we go now. UFC 108. Rashad Evans versus Thiago Silva. That's the main event, so let's start there. Now, with this fight, a lot of people are basically... there's something going around basically with the straight against the loop. You know what I mean? Rashad Evans throws... straight punches, he throws looping punches, and Thiago Silva throws a straight punches, and and Rashad's a counter puncher, and Thiago Silva, he's an aggressive guy, but I think it's very simple, this fight. I think this fight comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's chins, that's jaws. Now, I don't know if there's really something going around other than maybe me, but I'm of the belief that Thiago Silva's jaw, his chin, ain't exactly top notch. We saw what happened with, with homeboy Machida. Machida came through. First of all, his game plan wasn't good for that one, so, we can forgive that. But when he got tagged, he got dropped. And the same type, and this ain't MMA math, but I'm saying Machida's Machida and a jaw's a jaw. And when Machida came through and blasted Thiago Silva, that was that. He busted him up multiple times and it ended the fight first round. Rashad Evans, man, it took a hell of a ass whooping. It took some serious foolishness for Rashad Evans to finally go down. It took him talking trash with his mouth wide open. And 3 or 4 hard shots before Rashad ended up, doing the Mirko Cro Cop impersonation. So I'm going to say that chins are big play in this one. They're going to play a big role. And simply because I think when it comes down to it, there's going to be the clash. Rashad's going to circle. He's going to circle. He's probably going to lose round 1. Probably going to lose part of the round 2 because I think it's going to end in the second round. Rashad Evans, for the most part, loses rounds until he catches you. He was losing rounds against Chuck. He's losing rounds here. He loses rounds. He finally gauges that distance, and he counters you. And with somebody like Rampage, I think when he finally countered Rampage, maybe after losing a round or 2, Rampage would take that shot and just keep going. But somebody like Thiago Silva, I believe if he gets caught, he's going to get caught. And he's going to get knocked down. And then Rashad Evans will swarm and potentially put him out on the ground. If not, Thiago Silva may be able to hold guard, keep alive, but lose the round and just basically, never be in it in the third round and maybe get knocked out in the third. But the point is, I think it all comes down to the chin. I think it all comes down to the jaw. And I don't think Thiago's jaw will be able to stand up when they finally actually get in that situation. Now, Thiago Silva, he's got 14 wins. He's got 1 loss. We know who that 1 loss is to. It's to Lyoto Machida. Other than that, he ran through Keith Jardine like I said he would. He beat Antonio Mendez. And, for example, this is one of the fights where, he got kicked and he blocked the kick. And it went, it reverberated through the wrist, through all that. Still dazed him up. But he took his ground game and he won the fight because of that. Houston Alexander, he ran through Houston Alexander. And then, he's got a win over James Irving, but, that was from a TKO knee injury. But the whole thing is, he's got 1 loss, and it's to Lyoto Machida. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's very strong, and he will be the bigger guy in this fight. Rashad Evans, he's got 1 loss as well. That loss, also to Lyoto Machida. He has a couple bigger wins, though. Forrest Griffin, Chuck Liddell, Michael Bisping. Now, Thiago Silva, do I think he could beat Forrest Griffin? Yep. Do I think he'll beat Chuck Liddell? Probably now. And do I think he'll beat Michael Bisping? Absolutely. He just hasn't had those tests yet. But anyways. He's also got 2 of the greatest knockouts in the UFC history. Of course, the one over Chuck Liddell and the one over Sean Salmon. But it's going to be a situation of, 1 loss. They don't want another loss. Whoever wins this fight will be right up there, in line for a title shot with potentially whoever wins between Machida and Shogun. And both these guys want it bad. And again, I believe that this fight will end up coming down to whose jaw stands to test. Whose jaw stands to test when they finally clash, when they finally see what's going on. Who stays up? And I think that Rashad will be that guy. I'm picking Rashad by mid-second round knockout. All right, next bout. Now, what I'm going to try and do for the 2010, for this, I'm not going to say decade, but at least for this next, period of time, is I'm going to try and look at other things about fights. What I'm thinking, things that I look into. Not just giving a pick, not just saying, who has what wins and who they beat and whatnot. If you want to find all of that out, you could go to Wikipedia or something. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and look into different aspects of what I'm seeing and why I believe somebody will come out victorious. I could be wrong, I could be right. But I figure that'll make it a little different. Anyways, we've got the next one's Paul Daly versus Dustin Hazlett. Now, Paul Daly, I will give a little bit of background about him. He's been in 32 fights, 22 wins, 8 losses. He's had 17 knockouts. His main style is Muay Thai. Basically, he's a good striker, very good striker, 170. This basically is one of the guys, if he could get his ground game together, he would be one of the best, absolutely. But his thing is, his ground game is not where it needs to be to really compete with some of these guys that have excellent wrestling pedigree, guys who are able to take the fight to the ground, guys who aren't afraid to stand up, guys who can switch levels quickly. He's gonna, excuse me, he's gonna have to fix, what he does in order to keep with the top of the division in the UFC. In his last fight, he got the win against Martin Kampmann in his UFC debut. It was a good win. But, Martin Kampmann's a guy that likes to strike anyways. What'll happen when he goes up against, somebody who likes to grapple, who might be able to get that fight to the ground. So, right now he's fighting Dustin Hazlett. Now, let me say something about Paul Daly. Paul Daly, he's got 22 wins. Of those 22 wins, he's got 17 knockouts. So the vast majority of his wins come by knockouts. And of his 8 losses, 6 of them are by submission. So he doesn't really go to the decision much. When he wins, he's knocking people out. And when he's losing, he's getting submitted. Now let's take a look at Dustin Hazlett, whatever you want to say. He has 12 wins. Of his 12 wins, 8 are by submission. Some of them are some crazy ones. He's got the submission of the night against Josh Berkman. He had the submission of the night against Tandem McCrory. He can get that submission off his back. He can get submission from the top, but for the most part, he's just getting some crazy submissions. Now, Dustin Hazlett, he's got 4 losses. Of his 4 losses, he lost by decision, and then the rest of them, he got knocked out twice, and then he got submitted by Tony D'Souza. But we don't have to worry about him getting submitted unless it's to strikes. Obviously, Dustin Hazlett's going to want to get this fight to the ground. He's going to want to submit. He's going to want to submit Paul Daly. Paul Daly's going to want to keep this fight on the feet. And the only thing about this fight that makes it difficult to really pick is Dustin Hazlett's wrestling. That position from getting it from the feet to the ground is not as strong as some other guys. If the fight could just get to the ground somehow, even if he could pull guard somehow, then I could see Dustin Hazlett doing his thing. But Paul Daly, all he has to do is, not get taken down. I don't think he's going to have to worry about a whole lot of sprawling and stuff, because I don't think Dustin Hazlett's going to be shooting a double leg takedown. I don't think Paul Daly's going to have to back up. He's not going to have to worry about backing up and worry about striking and getting pushed up against the cage and getting dumped on his butt or whatnot. I think the only way Dustin Hazlett's going to be able to take this fight to the ground is by maybe ducking under one of Paul Daly's attacks. But I think Paul Daly's attacks will be exactly that, attacking. He'll be on the offensive, and Dustin Hazlett will be basically shooting or dropping to the ground for the takedown out of defense. In the end, I think Dustin Hazlett could win the fight if he gets the fight to the ground, for sure. But I don't think he's going to be able to get the fight to the ground in the way that he would need to. I think that he's going to be on the defensive. He's going to be backing up most of the time. It's hard to get a takedown when you're backing up. I think in the end, Paul Daly takes this win by a first-round knockout. I don't know if it's going to look nice for Dustin Hazlett. I don't know if he's going to get submission of the night. If anything, it could be a knockout of the night for Paul Daly. But it's a good fight. It'll be interesting to see what happens. All right, next fight, Joe Lauzon versus Sam Stout. This one I'm going to try and keep it quick. Sam Stout, he's definitely going to try and keep the fight on the feet. He's coming off of a win over Matt Wyman earlier in 2009, like April 2009. Before that, he had 2 losses, both decision losses to Terry Edom and Rich Clemente. he's going to want to keep the fight on the feet. He's going to be swinging. He's going to do what he can to basically control where the fight goes. And, you know, he's got some pretty good wins. But in the UFC, you know, he's got to win over Spencer Fisher. He's got to win over Matt Wyman. He's got to win over Per Eklund. But really, you know, when he does that step up in competition, you know, Kenny Florian, Spencer Fisher, the second time he fought him, he lost that fight. Rich Clementi, Terry Edom in a fight that I thought, you know, maybe he could have won. Basically, he's a guy that likes to fight, but it seems like, you know, winning is something that maybe comes secondary to fighting, and even like a good fight. And even though that kind of sounds strange, you know what I mean? Like he just wants to bang. And if I get knocked out or if you get knocked out, you know, it is what it is. Let's just bang. It's kind of like, you know, sometimes when I see some of these guys, you know, and it's like they just want to put on that show, and that's all good. But sometimes you gotta just get that win. In this fight, he's gonna want to get that win. He's gonna want to bang. But I say, you know, most importantly, try and get that damn win. Because if not, you know, he could be back out of the damn UFC. Now, on the other hand, you got Joe Lauzon. Joe Lauzon's got 18 wins, 4 losses. Out of his 18 wins, 14 are by submission. He's coming off a submission of the night win over Jeremy Stevens. He's got a win over Kyle Bradley of TKO. He lost to Kenny Florian before that. No shame in that. Before that, he went on a good winning streak. You know, he beat Jens Pulver, and that was his big, you know, I'm for real type of fight at the time. It's kind of weird that was like 3 years ago. But anyways, Joe Lauzon's definitely going to want to get this fight to the ground. On his feet, he can do all right. He, you know, it's not like he's a wild man on the feet or he's going to be completely like a fish out of water. But if he can get the fight to the ground, that'll definitely be a benefit for him. I think he will be able to get the fight to the ground. Even if he doesn't get the fight to the ground, I don't think that he's going to be really affected too greatly by the strikes from Sam Stout. I don't know if Sam Stout's strikes are going to come, you know, in flurries where it's going to be, you know, he's going to be dominated in a corner or whatever, or not against the cage. I think it's going to be, you know, a stand-up fight where Sam Stout is going for big punches, going for big knockout blows, and it's not going down. And then eventually, you know, Joe Lauzon gets a submission, or even Joe Lauzon wins by decision just by having, you know, not better strikes, but the more effective strikes. And I'm going to pick Joe Lauzon winning this fight, likely by decision. All right, next fight is Jim Miller versus Dwayne Bang Ludwig. There's 2 things I should mention. Number one, I'm sure if everybody knows, but this card, UFC 108, has been plagued with more injuries. It's crazy. Everybody's injured. Everybody's off the card. It's like a whole new card almost. It's just, look into it, nasty. The other thing is, this isn't like my new style. Sorry. My new style of, you know, cutting from one to the next. If you can hear from that last little whatever, maybe my voice sound like maybe I hit puberty or something. Maybe my voice is a little lower, you know, raspy. No, it's not that, you know. It's just I'm sick. And it takes about 3-4 minutes for everything to just build up to the point where I gotta just stop the camera, clear my throat, take a sip of water, and just keep moving. Anyways, Dwayne Bang Ludwig, he's coming in. Late replacement to face Jim Miller. He's replacing Sean Shirk. Sorry. He's coming off of a win in Show MMA. Sorry. A loss in Show MMA to Lyle Beerbohm. He's actually, if you don't know about Lyle Beerbohm, he's kind of a crazy kind of story. Fancy Pants is his nickname. This is supposed to be about Dwayne Bang Ludwig, but whatever. He was into jail. Came out of jail, but was training MMA, came out of jail, started training right away, and he's just been going on a massive ass-whooping spree, beating everybody. He kind of wears like these little tights that with colorful things. Closest thing I can think about it would be like shorts, the shorts or the spandex version, short version of what Shinya Aoki wears. And he's just been beating people, including guys like Dwayne Bang Ludwig, which, you know, people thought that Bang should be able to beat him. But he actually lost. If you look at this fight, it's crazy. He beat him with a bulldog choke. If you're not sure what a bulldog choke is, take a look. It's kind of funny. Beerbaum actually called it. He said, I'm going to defeat him by bulldog choke, and then actually beat him by the damn choke. It's also a choke he likes to use, but I'm just saying. Anyways, Dwayne Bang Ludwig, you know, his career has just been wins and losses all over the place. You know, he's back in the UFC, like in UFC 42, fighting Genki Sudo, beat him. Then, you know, he goes over to K1 Romanex. Basically, it's the MMA version of K1, the kickboxing stuff, MMA Romanex. Loses to BJ Penn by arm triangle. Fights Sam Morgan. This guy fights all over the world. Fights Tyson Griffin in Strikeforce. Loses to him. Loses to Josh Thompson in Strikeforce. Beats Tony Fricklin. He lost to Paul Daly in Strikeforce. You know, he beat Sammy Morgan and Yves Edwards, both in Strikeforce. He fought Sengoku, lost to Takanori Gomi back in 2008. So basically, he's been all over the place. He's been fighting since the year 2000. He's been doing his thing. He's a striker, absolutely. And in this fight, he's going to need to keep this fight on the feet. He'll be fighting, though. The problem is he'll be fighting a very good wrestler in Jim Miller, who, with only 2 losses, coming to another very good wrestler and a big-ass guy, Gray Maynard, and another good wrestler, and this was a loss back in 2006 to Frank Edgar. Jim Miller will be able to take this fight to the ground. 15 wins, 9 wins by submission. Nothing too crazy with his submissions. You know, triangle choke, rear naked choke, you know, arm bar here, there, sprinkle, you know. But basically, he just gets the fight to the ground, does his thing. That's what he's going to be able to do here. Dwayne Bang Ludwig is going to try and, you know, go there and knock his head off, I believe. Jim Miller will be able to duck under a punch, push him up against the cage, take him down. Once he gets that takedown, either tire him out and beat him, or just, you know, beat him right there. But I'm picking Jim Miller winning this fight by either decision or second round submission. And then last fight, this is a big one, Gilbert Yvel versus Junior Dos Santos. Gilbert Yvel used to be one of the dirtiest fighters of all time. When I say dirty, I'm talking knocking out referees, losing from biting, losing from all types of craziness. Eye gouging. Like back in the day, he was a wild dude. But he's got over that. He's also got over his habit of losing. And he's put together a nice little streak of wins outside of the loss to Josh Barnett, Day of Reckoning, which was one of the craziest fights of all time for me, because you saw Josh Barnett mounting this guy for like 15 minutes and finally got a submission in the middle of the third. But anyways, great kickboxer. Great. I just want to say that again. Very, very good striking. Powerful hands. So many fights. You know, 51 total fights, 36 wins, 31 knockouts. Don't let him touch your face. Back in the day, it would be, you know, might lose an eye, might poke it out. Nowadays, he's knock you out. And he'll be fighting Junior Dos Santos. And Junior Dos Santos is basically, we all know who he is. He's an up-and-comer. You know, he's got a kickboxing record as well. It's not the same type of kickboxing record as Alval, but 18 wins and 0 losses is 18 wins and 0 losses any way you want to put it. Fighting Black House. His last win is the win over Mirko Krokop. Before that, he knocked out Stefan Struve. Before that, he, you know, knocked Fabricio Verdum out of the UFC with a knockout punch in the first round. Prior to that, you know, he has one loss to a guy, Joaquin Ferreira, who he had already beat. But the first time he fought him, he actually won, and the guy lost by exhaustion. And then the next time he came back and armbarred him. But anyways, tough fighter, younger fighter, much younger fighter. He's 25 years old. This is going to be a situation where, you know, whoever touches the other guy's chin first, it could be lights out. Gilbert Yvel's got knockout power. Junior Dos Santos has knockout power. This is a tough fight. You know, Gilbert Yvel likes to use the kicks more. Junior Dos Santos has very good hands. This is a tough one. It's kind of like picking, you know, if I have a bomb and you have a bomb and we don't really know whose bomb is going to go off first, it's like predicting who's going to detonate. And I'm going to go with just youth, and I'm going to go with slight. I'm just going to have to go with youth here. Youth, and I believe it'll be size. And I'm just going to go with Junior Dos Santos by either second round knockout or third round knockout. I do believe Junior Dos Santos will have the cardio on his side as well. Although, again, Gilbert Yvel has been showing great improvements over the last little bit. So, I'm going to pick Junior Dos Santos, second round knockout. Alright, next fight. A little funny one here. I think Joe Silva likes to play games, every now and then, do a little bit of prankster. This one here, he's actually got Cole Miller fighting Dan Lozon. Now, the joke is Dan Lozon's brother, Joe Lozon, is fighting on the main card, and Cole Miller's brother, Jim Miller, is also fighting on the main card. So you've got two sets of brothers fighting, not each other. That would have been the best. Cole Miller versus Dan Lozon and Jim Miller versus Joe Lozon. That would have been great. But, it's all good. So you've got Cole Miller versus Dan Lozon. This actually should be a good fight. Dan Lozon, he's got 12 wins, 2 losses. His 2 losses are coming back in 2007. He lost to Spencer Fisher in the UFC. He lost to him when he was, I believe, the youngest fighter in UFC history. He was like 18 years old at the time. He lost to Spencer Fisher by TKO strikes in the first round. Since then, he lost his very next fight, which was also in 2007. That was in 2006. Anyways, he hasn't lost since 2007. He's on a 7-win winning streak, I believe. His last fight was against Bobby Green. I've seen a lot of names, come back up. I actually saw him fight Bobby Green live at Day of Reckoning. In a fight where, Bobby Green was just crazy all over the damn place. And Cole Miller was able to fight through some foolishness. I actually believe, if my memory is correct, he got kicked in the nuts a couple times, and the audience wasn't really feeling something because I think he was doing some acting. I forget. I was there, but, it just goes to show. Anyways, the point is, he's been around for a while. He's a young guy, but he's still a young guy. He's still only 21 years old. He's got 6 knockouts, 6 submissions, so he knows how to mix it up. That's Dan Lozon. Now, he'll be fighting Cole Miller. Cole Miller is 15 wins, 4 losses. He's actually lost his last fight against Efrain Escudero. A fight in which I believe he got too damn comfortable. He had a big reach advantage. I believe he had the striking advantage. He was able to just keep the fight at a distance, and he just got overzealous, over whatever you want to call it. Maybe he just got cocky. I think it's just, again, that he got comfortable. He allowed Efrain Escudero to get on the inside and put his lights out. He also has a loss to Jeremy Stevens. And, he has wins over Junie Browning in a fight that I'm sure everybody was rooting for him at that point. George Gurgel, another fight. That was a strange fight where Cole Miller actually submitted the black belt, George Gurgel, in a triangle in the last dying minutes, the dying seconds of the third round. He also beat Leonard Garcia, and he beat Andy Wang. Everybody has to know about Andy Wang. This guy just gets funny bouts. But anyways, Cole Miller versus Dan Lozon. This one's going to be tough. But in the end, I believe I'm going to have to go with Cole Miller on this one. He's gonna have the experience. He's gonna have the reach. His jiu-jitsu is good. His boxing is good. If he gets put on his back, which would be the only thing I believe that could lead him to potentially a loss, which would be getting put on his back and maybe being controlled on his back, maybe not getting damaged, but just in a fight where in the UFC, if you're on your back, it's hard to win a fight. But barring that from happening, I do have to pick Cole Miller winning by decision. Then also we've got Martin Kampmann versus Jacob Volkman. Oh my God, this is going to be a murder. Jacob Volkman came out with the worst stand-up I've ever seen in the UFC. He fought Paulo Thiago. Paulo Thiago had a horrible game plan. Still ended up beating him. Volkman's nickname is Christmas. I don't even understand what's going on. I guess it's because he something about Dumb and Dumber. Maybe he looks like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber, whose name was Lloyd Christmas. That only works for you if you're Ace Ventura, rich Ace Franklin, and you're a real good fighter. You can't do this kind of craziness, come in here with that horrible stand-up. On the ground, he was pretty good. But on his feet, good Lord Almighty. And they're putting him up against Martin Kampmann, who is a pretty damn good striker. This, and coming off a loss to Paul Daly. This is going to be bad. This is going to be a knockout. Forget what I said earlier about maybe Paul Daly versus... This is going to be Martin Kampmann on the Spike TV card, knocking out Jacob Volkman with some nastiness. Nasty, nasty, nasty. They better put Herb Dean in there so Herb Dean can jump in early and stop Jacob Volkman from sustaining some serious pain. Alright, and on the undercard, I'm picking Mark Munoz, picking Mike Powell, and John Gunderson. Also, Lance Fancy Pants Beerbohm, he has a win over 2 separate guys on this card, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, just to run through it, just because it'll be fun. Brock Lesnar was supposed to fight Shane Carwin. Brock Lesnar got hurt. He's dying somewhere. Hopefully he gets better. So that fight's off. Actually, Shane Carwin had mentioned he was sick too, so he might have, been fighting sick. So, anyways, Nogueira, Big Nog, he was supposed to fight Cain Velasquez, but they don't wash their mats or something because he got staph infection again. Gabriel Gonzaga was supposed to fight Junior Dos Santos, but he got hurt. So now he's fighting, Junior Dos Santos fighting Gilbert Ivel. Paul Daly was supposed to fight Carlos Condit, but Carlos Condit had to pull out because of injury. Carlos Condit was replaced by Dustin Hazlett. Tyson Griffin was supposed to fight Jim Miller. Sean Shirk was supposed to fight Oliveira. Oliveira stepped up to fight Jim Miller. Oh my Lord, this is so confusing. And Dwayne Bang Ludwig is fighting somebody that was supposed to be fighting someone else. This is confusing, y'all. Martin Kampmann was supposed to fight Rory Markham. Markham got hurt. Now he's fighting Jacob Volkman. Steve Cantwell was supposed to fight Vladimir Matyshenko. You don't see any of those dudes on this card because it just got pulled on December 29th. This card is the most effed up card in the UFC's history for sure. And we still ended up with some pretty good matchups. Can't hate. Can't hate. MMA, y'all. It's important. Peace.